Welcome to Corrective Consciousness, episode 24. I am your host, VyseTheBold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
PyroJackFrostand.
And special guest, MrRyu.
I was about
Only
to...
we get to say it.
Oh, I thought I was regular. Okay, whatever.
Guests get introduced.
Yeah, after all this cutting off of MrRyu from last week's podcast, now he doesn't even get to say his name.
I should be called Mr. Cutoff now.
Now you can only wear jorts. They're no longer comfy and easy to wear.
Nice.
But yeah, you are back again, and we actually had a lot of fun this weekend. We'll get to that, of course, but we had a really good time. So, we have 4 people again on this on this one. We'll try to keep it down to a minimum, but we were the most efficient we ever were with 5. So
yeah, that is
who knows?
ridiculous.
Maybe that's the magic number.
Yeah,
we were pretty smooth on that one.
Yeah, surprisingly, I thought it'd be a bit more like a cluster, but
I mean, it still kind of is. But what can you do?
Well, the main strategy was constantly cutting you off.
Guys are butts.
More like Lotus butts.
Nice. Well, we have a really good show here. Why don't you start it off, Pyro?
All right. So I've been continuing my Bloodborne adventure journey, whatever you want to call it. I forget where I left off last time. I think I just beat the boss of the Cathedral Ward.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
So I finished getting all the stuff in the Cathedral Ward, and there's a side area that I looked to that was pretty cool. It's like, without spoilers, there's an area you can go that's just like the dream, but it's the first guy's dream, and it's like, if you look at all the things that are there and how they are, it's actually pretty telling. It's there's some lore there that you get just by like the visual and the locations of things, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of the Souls games work that way. There's very little in the way of actual storytelling, but where you find bodies and even where you find certain items, as well as the description of the items themselves, kind of gives you what you need to know if you care to look for it.
Lots of
really
inference.
Cool. So I finished that. I got to that. There was another area that I explored, and I fought the witches. I don't know if you know the witches.
I think I do.
The witch, so there's that area. That was just like a side area to get the item that lets you equip runes on yourself.
Did you find the Hunter's Workshop organically, or did you read a guide for it?
A little bit of both, I guess you could say.
Okay.
Like, I was exploring the Cathedral Ward, and I saw another area that was really obnoxious to get to, because you kind of like drop down planks to get there.
Yeah,
and I saw a door.
that tower is very like, oh god, what do like oh god.
I knew I had to drop down all the way, and then I saw a door on the way down, and I'm like, I don't know how to get there. So I just wanted to see if it was actually something important or not. I didn't really see. I didn't really look up much other than that it was an area that you can go to, and that was like the only way there. So I'm like, all right, I'll make the fall, because I had no blood echoes I needed to worry about losing. So I tried it out, and I made it pretty easily, actually.
Nice.
And I finished that other optional area to get the rune thing, and I have just finished exploring the area that there's these guys with bags that if they kill you, they take you to jail, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I just finished exploring that area, and I'm about to fight the boss of that area. And actually, it's pretty cool because when I first went there, this is my second time there. The first time I went there, kind of intentionally, kind of accidentally, because I knew that they would take you away, but I didn't know much else about that. And I had a lot of trouble because those guys are really, really powerful. But I'm playing now that the second time I'm there, and as long as I can parry them with the gun, the visceral attack is a one-shot kill on them, so it's pretty cool.
Nice.
How much more powerful I feel. But then on the other hand, them and these boar things there can still one-shot me. So it's I feel powerful, but at the same time just as weak as I was in the beginning of the game.
It's actually pretty funny. I actually stopped at about the same area that you're at, because the boss of that area is first of all, he's optional.
Yeah.
And which I didn't realize at the time when I was playing it. I got discouraged because you can't beat him until you've leveled up a lot.
Yeah, I'm level 50 now, I think.
He's a tough fight. And he's best fought with a partner if you can summon somebody with the bell.
Okay.
He's tough.
When I fought the witches, I was just like, oh god, here's another boss. I'm ready for it. I guess I'm ready for it. And I went in, and that was like the easiest boss ever.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you two remember it, but it's like the witch just walks around really slowly. I mean, there are things about it.
What was her gimmick? Was she the one who provided
but it's like, do we care about spoilers for it?
Maybe. I mean, like, I've watched an LP on it, but I don't know if anybody else cares.
Because, like, if I tell you her shtick, it kind of makes the whole boss easier.
Okay, all right, maybe I'll hold off then.
So there is a gimmick that makes her a little harder. So I guess you could say that one of them is that you can't see her until you're right next to her.
Oh, that's pretty good.
And then there's another gimmick that kind of she has that makes her hard too. But as long as you realize that quickly enough, then she's actually really easy because she moves really slowly and she doesn't turn around very quickly, so just backstab her all the time.
There's a boss kind of sort of like that in Dark Souls, an optional boss, but you're fighting on snow so you can see the footprints, but it can be a little hard to see them even when you're looking for them, and all of a sudden you just get wrecked.
Yeah, so I would say I'm about halfway through the game based on like me looking at the number of areas there are and the number of areas I've explored, although I know that they get harder as you go, so I can't really judge it by that. But I feel like the one thing I like about the Souls games is, I mean, when you level up, obviously you get powerful. You can either do more damage or have more health, and your defense goes up. But you really aren't that much more powerful. And the more you play, the more you realize that what you're really gaining is the patience and like the ability to like notice patterns more.
Yeah, you're getting actually better at playing the game.
Yeah,
which is
and
like the real way you level up.
Yeah, there isn't
whenever
really.
Anyone said that,
yeah.
I really thought like, whatever. It's easy to say that, but then when I play it, I'm like, oh, actually, I feel like I am getting more skillful at the game.
Yeah, each individual. Like... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just about to say it's just sort of like Monster Hunter in that regard.
I would agree.
Yeah,
actually,
I mean, like
Monster Hunter is very similar to the Souls games in a lot of ways.
Yeah, like but... each individual level up is pretty marginal. Like you only really notice a difference if you're at the very beginning of the game and beating the first area lets you have a bunch of level ups at once, or you finally got that one more point you needed to equip a new weapon or cast a new spell or something. Like only then do you really notice an actual difference in how you play versus being more skilled at the way you play.
Yeah, so that's that. I wish I had more time to play this week, but I didn't. I hopefully will have time to play tomorrow. But there's another game that I started playing, and it's a short game, so I'm hoping it doesn't distract me from Bloodborne, because I really want to beat Bloodborne and have that be the first Souls game that I actually beat. I got Shantae Half-Genie Hero, which was a game that I helped kickstart, and I know nice. Vice, you said that you kickstarted it too, right?
Yeah, I did kickstart it, and I didn't even realize it had been passed out, because a lot of those Kickstarter emails just get lost. Because they that Shantae, like, don't get me wrong, the communication with that particular Kickstarter was excellent, but at the same time, you get so many emails, so you don't know which ones are important. Mm-hmm. But that's not even really a complaint. It's just the reason why I missed it.
So sorry, continue.
I was just going to say that, the big problem with a lot of Kickstarters is that they don't communicate well. And this one was very communicative. They were like, this is what we're doing this week. This is what we're doing this week. That kind of thing. And they were great about it. No complaints. And I've been a big Shantae fan ever since the second game. I missed the Game Boy Color game because it was a cult hit. I didn't even hear about it until it became rare.
Oh yeah, that cartridge is like $300 or something.
Yeah, it's the Game Boy Color game that's worth the most.
I got it on the. It's available on the eShop though.
It is. It's on the. After a long time, the 3DS finally has it.
I think I beat like the first Shantae or the second one, and that's the only one I played.
Probably the second one, because did you find it very difficult?
Not really.
Okay, the first one is very difficult.
Okay.
So
so that's not me just sucking?
No,
like,
it's a
hard.
very hard game.
Okay.
The bad guys take a lot of damage on, like way more damage than they should.
But yeah, it feels weird because when I played this one, like the first game that I played, whatever it was kind of like a Metroid or Castlevania game where like you got more abilities and it was just this wide open area that you explore. But this one is very much more like level based, although you can go back to levels with new abilities, but it's not like one giant map that you explore. So it feels different, but it's still pretty good.
You probably played the third one, actually, if I had to guess.
Maybe. I don't remember.
Because the third one came out like a year or two ago, and the one before that was a DSi game, and then eventually it became they remastered it for Steam, but it took a long time. So I'm thinking you might have even played the third game there.
It might be. I don't even know. But
so
I've been enjoying Shantae so far. I feel like it's going to be a pretty short game, so I'll probably play that every now and then, along with Bloodborne. So before I talk about the next thing that I did, so this weekend was a bunch of I had friends over for parties, and today we saw Star Wars. So the other thing I want to say before talking about Star Wars is we were playing a lot of board games, and I lost every single game that I played this weekend, so that wasn't that fun.
Like you were in last place?
Not last place. Like all the games were close for me to get in second or third place, but I lost all of them.
What did you play?
So I played Shadows over Camelot, which was this game where everyone's like Knight of the Round Table, and there's one traitor that no one knows about, and there's a whole bunch going on with that. I played this game called Exploding Kittens, which you want to not draw kittens that explode in your face. I played...
Is that the oatmeal one?
Yes.
Okay.
I played Splendor, which is a game where you have to collect gems to build things and get points. That's the very simple way of saying it. And I played this other game called I just played it before the podcast. What is it called? I forget what it's called, but basically you have to try to bribe the sheriff to get your goods through the market, and we win by having the most stuff. So
gotcha.
Yeah, it was fun, other than the fact that I lost. So the big part about today, though, was I went to see Rogue One. And
I just came back from it myself.
Spoilers, they steal the Death Star plans.
What?
What? I don't want to see it anymore. Thanks.
But it was really good, actually. I mean, I like most of the Star Wars. I don't really find as many complaints as other people do, but I really enjoyed it anyway. There's a lot of throwbacks in this movie that, if big and small, if you're not paying attention, you might miss a lot of Easter eggs. And even if you are paying attention, there are things you might not realize are throwbacks. But it was pretty good overall.
I thought it was fantastic. As much as I like Force Awakens, I like I brought up last week. One of my complaints is that it's a little too cutesy with its self-awareness. Mm-hmm. This movie just had nods. It didn't have wink at the camera kind of moments, except for maybe a couple of the cameos. But it wasn't cute or out of place. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I thought they did a great job at making the characters likable, the main characters. Mm-hmm. And they were
and it's
all great.
Some of them might not have been likable at first, but they grew on you or whatever.
I like the robot. The robot was
awesome. No, the robot was awesome. I was telling everyone after the movie that if I lived in the Star Wars universe, I'd probably want to be a droid.
Yeah. I recommend everybody, art fans, go see this one. It's excellent. Some people are saying it's the best Star Wars movie thus far. And I reserve judgment for that kind of thing because I like to have hindsight. So when coming out of Force Awakens, I was all about it. And now that reality set in, I have just a couple, nothing big. I love the movie overall. But this one, I don't think I'm gonna feel that way. I really don't. So, it was excellent. You knew how the mission was going to go, but you didn't know how the characters were going to be.
I didn't think about that until I saw like this post that someone posted on like Facebook or something about like how obviously we know how it's supposed to end, and I didn't think about that, which actually then adds something to the movie where they did such a good job with telling a story where you knew not necessarily the beginning, but you knew how it was supposed to end, but everything else was still like big enough that it still kept itself going, even though we knew what they had to build up to, but every step of the way was something new.
It's kind of like watching a movie about World War II, right? You know who wins in World War II, but you are still invested in the personal battle that's going on, right? You know overall that the Allies win against the Axis, but it's pretty much the same story, right? You got to think, you know that's what it's kind of based off of, but it was a really good telling of that part of the story that didn't have. It had a bunch of lore around it before that's now totally dethroned as the lore for that. You know, sorry guys, Dark Forces doesn't count anymore.
Shadows of the Empire.
That kind of upsets me because I liked Dash Rendar, but
Dash Rendar got the plans in the first level of Dark Forces, but
oh well.
No. In Dark Forces, it was Kyle Katarn. Dash Rendar was Shadows of the Empire.
Sorry, that was Shadows of the Empire.
Both characters are amazing, though.
Yeah, they're both great. Yeah, but great movie. Go see it. I'm not gonna talk about it anymore. But I really liked it.
Yeah, so that was my weekend. So how about Lotus Prince? How about you?
Okay, well, not just my weekend, but I also had some stuff in my week going on. For one thing, I still haven't revealed what the actual title is, but MrRyu and I finally finished our Let's Play of that hilariously bad game that is going to be the next Let's Play after Code Veronica X. That game is funny for all the wrong reasons, and that's why we like it.
Yeah, it's kind of a spectacle to behold. It's just like, wow.
Yeah, like there are some games that are fun precisely because they're just bad, like big rigs. This is kind of like the modern, console equivalent. Not that it's a racing game or anything, but it's
hard to believe that this day and age, like QA could be that bad on such like a big level game.
There's funny stuff all the way through. It's great. My only regret is that I can't get the DLC because it's been pulled from Steam, PlayStation Network, and I don't know if it was on the 360, but if it was, then probably the 360 network as well.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure you could find the PC DLC somewhere in the.
I probably could. Honestly, I probably could if I really wanted to.
But do you really want to?
That's a question. That is the question. I don't know if I do.
I need to know the full story.
Honestly, the story seemed like it concluded. There was only one side character that we just kind of didn't deal with. That maybe that person, I don't know, like left open for DLC or bad writing. You decide. But other than that, I got a little more going with my computer. I still haven't pushed it to the limit or anything. I've been playing like Binding of Isaac on it, so I've been playing a lot of that actually. I got like a bunch more achievements for it that I hadn't gotten before from I believe, I forgot if I beat Greed Mode with the new character, but I definitely beat Hush with a couple of characters that I hadn't beaten before. At this point I'm missing, I think I checked this, I think I'm missing like 32 achievements, which isn't bad considering that the game plus its DLC has like 276 in total. So
and a lot of them are really hard to get.
They are stupid hard, yeah. So at this point, that's basically all I have left is grinding Greed Mode endlessly, and then the stupid hard things I have to do, like beat the super bosses with the crappy characters. I'm not looking forward to doing that. So at this point, I think the thing said I had like 88% of the achievements, and like new DLC's coming out in January, and I'm like, God damn it, you're doing it to me again. But that game's super fun, and it was cheap, and like I've put like over 200 hours into it. That is like the best. That is the best like money to gameplay ratio I think I've had in anything I've owned. So like because I think I got it for like a discount. It was like some cutesy price, like $6.66 or something. And man, I got my money's worth. My God. So that's been a lot of fun. But I think the thing that but before I get to the big thing that MrRyu, and I all did earlier today, just some school stuff. I'm done with classes now, so that's nice. And I've graded all the papers for my weekday classes. The only thing I have left to do is grade the batch of papers that was handed to me for my Saturday class, and then go over their finals. So I'll pick those up on Thursday. But that stuff isn't going to be due until sometime in January, so I have time. And the stuff that I did grade, I need to have my final discussion with my supervisor over on Tuesday. So once I get that all out of the way, I'll be definitively set for a little while. And speaking of the Saturday class, oh yeah, it's great. And speaking of the Saturday class, just this past Saturday, so at the time we're recording this is on a Sunday night. So yesterday, I went up to the college, and we had for the Saturday class a sort of end semester celebration, because this isn't a regular college class. This is a special program for certain high school students who are going into the sciences. So. For them, it's kind of more of a big deal. It's not just like, another semester. Like, this is a big deal. They effectively took a college class. So there was a lunch for it and a bunch of speeches. So the other teachers and I gave speeches about, like, particular students we were awarding for, honestly, whatever we came up with. Like, some people... Like there wasn't any, like, here's the person who got the best grade. It was more stuff like who had the best attitude, who participated the most, like the students who clearly were, like, they're not the best, like, grade point average among the class, but they're clearly trying super hard and always asking questions and stuff. So we gave awards based on that kind of criteria, just so it's not like, again, like, highest grade, there you go. So it's more for, like, recognition for some of the other students who might not have necessarily known that they were going to get it. And the people who were tutoring for SATs also had some awards in that vein. So that was pretty nice, except for driving there in the snow. That was a little less nice, but it mostly was cleared up by the time we got back. So that was cool. So that's my school-related stuff. But then there's the stuff
I have to say it's nice being done with grading and classes. Like, when last year I taught, and I know the feeling.
Yeah, like, technically I'm not done with grading, but I have more than enough time. Like, this should not be a problem unless I allow it to become one, if I just don't do anything for days and days. So really the last thing is, I was going to mention I got to record more Code Veronica, but, I'm still recording that, so I'm going to get to that too. But the last thing that I'm going to bring up is kind of the bigger thing that Vice and MrRyu and I all did today, was we went to an arcade / bowling alley / pool hall. Like, it was kind of like an all-in-one deal at a mall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I forgot if I mentioned the name already.
Actually.
Exton.
Oh, Exton, excuse me.
Yeah.
So near Philly.
That was my mistake when I said Philadelphia.
Oh, we were navigating? All right, Exton. Whew.
It's called Round 1.
Yeah, Round 1 arcade.
But it's in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
Yes, definitely in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
But it's super cool. That you can, what you can do is you can, I think arcades in general have evolved to this point where, unless people just have really old machines, you don't really put quarters in machines anymore at this point. For a bunch of arcades I've been to lately, you pay for a card and you put credits on the card. And that's kind of how you handle that. So if you ever need to continue or something, you swipe your card.
It's actually pretty ingenious because people have never really gotten out of the idea that a game should be a quarter. Even though a quarter in 1982 used to be worth a lot more than it is today.
Yeah.
So, like, in Japan, for instance, it was always about $1 to play games. Even back then, even like Space Invaders was like 100 yen, which is like basically $1. So they never really got out of that idea. So they think it's more expensive when a game costs $1 here. when really it's about where it should be, or maybe even cheap. So it's really good that we've evolved to have these, credits like this, because the arcades need to survive. They need to make back
definitely
what they're putting there, and they need to make profit, or else we won't have them. So it's really good.
And it's also more convenient because I don't want to carry an ass ton of coins, because I remember putting a 20 in a quarter machine. I was like, oh god, why did I do this?
Yeah. Now you're physically heavier. Yeah.
I have so many doubloons in me pockets.
So yeah, but what made this arcade particularly cool was that it had a bunch of machines that you're really not going to find. I'm not going to say anywhere else, but anywhere else close to you by a long shot. There were a lot of Japanese-only games. It was really cool. I finally got to play the Silent Hill arcade game for real. The actual arcade game. And I played it 2-player with Vice, and we got the best ending. Hooray! Not bad, considering that there are 4 endings, plus a joke. What was also cool, though, this is the part I didn't expect, is that you could actually buy one of those Konami cards that saves your data for certain arcade machines. So I could theoretically... I didn't have the card on me when we played the game, but next time I do it, I could theoretically save my data and do a New Game Plus and get the joke ending. And they also had cards like that for Namco and Square Enix, because they had the Theat Rhythm game, the Final Fantasy Theat Rhythm arcade game there as well. And some, the DDR game that takes your card. They also had some Capcom music games that accepted MrRyu's card, which was pretty rad. And they had all sorts of Capcom songs from Street Fighter and Monster Hunter and other stuff like that. One thing, the Silent Hill arcade game I've always wanted to play for real, just on principle, because that's one of those games that I know they're in the United States somewhere, but I'm never going to find one. And I actually did.
It was the first one that I've seen in the flesh.
Yeah, and what I really didn't expect, though, I never thought I'd ever see ever, was the Castlevania arcade game, where the controller is basically a move controller, and you have to flick your wrist to whip, because your primary attack is by whipping. And the trigger button will use your secondary weapon. One character uses guns, the other character throws knives, but you actually need to attack candelabras and torches to get hearts so you can refill your ammo, which is pretty cool.
It was more fun than I thought it would be.
It was. And you get more, you can get different weapon types too. Vice eventually got silver bullets, and I eventually got the cross, which is just it's basically super knives, and I think it might be scripted, but it was pretty cool. And, it went through all the right motions. You fought a bunch of bosses that you've seen before, and some you haven't. Some new ones, as far as I know, were the Minotaur and the White Dragon and the Water Dragon.
Minotaur was actually in Bloodlines.
Was it? Okay. Well, Bloodlines was the Genesis game, right?
Sure was.
Okay. And ones that I definitely recognize, the classic bosses, I guess Minotaur also counts, I just didn't know. But ones that you see in every Castlevania game were Death. You gotta have Death.
Death was neat.
Death was amazing. He was the first boss and the second to last boss, because he's always the second to last boss.
He's always the penultimate.
Yeah, but he was the first one because, it's Death, it's Castlevania, it's arcade game, here it comes. And it was super sweet because they were playing Vampire Killer over the fight. It was
remixes
great.
were really good.
They were great.
I really wish I could have joined you guys, but obviously, I had my own thing. But I really want to join next time. You guys.
We got to set up a bigger gathering next time.
I know when I went to Japan, I got a Konami card, but I don't know where I put it, so I kind of want to get a new one.
Yeah, worst case scenario, it was $5, so you're not going to be really put out for that one, which is nice. And they also had the werewolf, and Dracula's the final boss. One thing that was cool about him, though, was, yes, he still has 2 forms, and in the second form, I know you can say that this is from Symphony of the Night, but it's also from the book Dracula, where he would he would turn into a wolf and turn to bats. It was pretty great. So it was this big climactic finish. It was a lot of fun. And one thing I did not play, because we were running out of time, but I saw that was super cool, was they actually had the Luigi's Mansion rail first-person experience where you're sucking up ghosts with the Poltergust 3000. That was
cool.
Yeah. So I didn't actually play that, but it was right there. And they had a bunch of other
I think I played that one. Don't they have a lot of ping pong balls that get thrown around in that?
I only saw it for a second. It was just there it is. So I didn't really get a good look. So maybe. And they also had a bunch of other games. They had the sequel to Ghost Squad, Operation Ghost. They had a new Lethal Enforcers game, which is hilarious to me that continues to exist. They had one of the initial D games. They had Mario Kart GPDX, and it was cool. Like you know how with the X-Men arcade game, the one I grew up with was a 4-player setup, and then one time I went to, I think it was MagFest, and I saw like a 6-player setup for the first time, and I was like, what? Well, I'm used to seeing Mario Kart. It might have just been the other arcade Mario Kart, but the one I'm used to was in my local movie theater, which is a 2-player setup. But this thing had like a side-by-side 4-player setup, which was crazy.
I think you can link up to 8 of them. It depends on how the operator wants to do it.
The only time
like Daytona USA's like that too.
The only time I've ever seen an 8-player link up was like a LAN connection of Mario Kart Double Dash of the GameCube, which was already crazy by itself. They had a bunch of fighting games too. They had BlazBlue, which we have BlazBlue, but in the arcades, not so much. I saw Melty Blood. They had Street Fighter 4.
Did you guys, when you were there, did you see any shmups?
They had a few. I didn't take a good look at it, but they did have a shmup.
Okay.
Yeah, I didn't
because
see.
One thing that I wanted to let our audience know is that I didn't get as much time as I would have liked there because of the time crunch on going to see the movie and all that stuff. So I definitely want to go back. So I didn't actually get a chance to explore the entire arcade because of that. So
I would have stayed much longer, but today was just checking it out, and I was more pleased than I expected.
It's worth it.
Same with me. Despite what you may think of me, and despite what my viewers may think of me, not much. No, but despite what my viewers may think of me in terms of what I do on my YouTube channel, I'm not normally really an arcade kind of guy. I'll go into an arcade and I'll be like, oh, these games look cool, and I'll play them for a little bit, and then I've kind of seen what I have to see. I'm good after 2 hours. But this is one of those cases where I actually would happily come back and not only do stuff that I've already done, but the existence of these particular game developers' cards means that you can get New Game Plus stuff. I forgot to mention, the Castlevania game also takes the Konami card, because when you beat levels, you can level up your character's main weapon, max health, secondary weapon, and there was a 4th category. And so you can New Game Plus that game, which is pretty awesome. Oh, and just as a last thing to throw out there, they also had Elevator Action Death Parade. That was pretty, was pretty rad. There's a bunch of weird stuff that you may or may not have heard of, and then just here they are. You could play them right now. It's insane. So that was definitely super cool.
I'm interested in hearing what MrRyu had to think about it.
Yeah, I'm excited about this one.
Okay, well, that arcade is really good. They had so many good music games like Sound Voltex. They had the basic ones that most hardcore music game players like Beatmania, the newest one. They even had they have DDR, and there's some other ones that only this arcade would have in America, like Final Fantasy Theater Rhythm Arcade, which is really cool.
Even Guitar Hero, I've never seen it in an arcade before.
Oh, Guitar Hero, I've seen in a couple Dave & Buster's, and there's this one There's one in the bowling alley that was near us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know that bowling alley that we go to, that's kind of trying to be a Dave & Buster's.
Yeah,
that has a Guitar Hero.
That is an old bowling alley. They used to have X-Men and X-Men vs. Street Fighter.
What I find really funny about that Guitar Hero cabinet is that it is published by Konami. Which is hilarious. Yeah,
I did not know that.
Because Guitar Hero is a total ripoff of Guitar Freaks, and it always has been. In fact, they had a big lawsuit about it. Konami sued on it, and Konami never really got the popularity with any of their instrument games. In the United States. They have plenty of them. They have Guitar Freaks and Drum Freaks and all that stuff, but they never really made it here in the U.S. Because Rock Band took over and Guitar Hero, and they're both ripoffs of their idea, mixed kind of with Amplitude, I guess. But yeah, I mean, even the design of the guitar is Guitar Freaks. I mean. So it's really funny that they kind of did a they must have made a truce and said, hey, maybe you could publish the arcade version of Guitar Hero.
Okay.
What were you about to say, MrRyu?
Oh, I was about to say like. Now I forgot what I was gonna say.
Well, you were talking about the various music games.
Oh, right. So they had this other like Guitar Freaks and Drum Freaks thing like set up. I don't know what it's called, the name of it. It's a different name, but it is by Konami, I believe. But I was overlooking like someone playing the drum game, and they did have Stand Proud from JoJo Bizarre Adventure.
Oh, damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, and they
that was
like,
part 3, right? Oh, of course, Stand.
Yeah,
it's part 3. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's this new like Capcom music game that I didn't know about until like recently. It's called Crossbeat Rev Sunrise. It's pretty much like a re-rave. You know that game?
No,
afraid not.
It's like a
Was that the one we played at Con Bravo? Maybe?
It's that touchscreen one where you touch like the notes like as they appear on the screen.
Was that the one I was
saying? To the Korean games, what is it? I forget the ones that used to be at 8 on the break.
I think that's what they are.
Okay.
Wait, was this the one? Was this the one I was standing next to you for at the end?
Yes.
Oh, that was Capcom.
Yeah, that was a Capcom music game. Apparently, it's like their first music game, and it's actually pretty good. It actually does have like music from Capcom games, so it has like Street Fighter music, Monster Hunter music, and like Phoenix Wright music. So I was like,
I didn't
wow.
see that.
Gunsmoke or get the fuck out. I love Gunsmoke.
And they have the general like
Japanese
J-pop music and like some Toho music. So it's pretty cool.
Wait, Toho was Capcom?
No. They just have the music for it. It's like how Konami has like Toho music. Yeah, anime music. Yeah. So that was fun. They also had like
well, actually, I was kind of waiting for you to bring up the prize machines.
Oh my god, I am an idiot with prize machines. Like they are my casino because like it has a promise of a prize if you just keep playing. But the thing is like it's in my opinion it's like just more interactive. And like I feel like I'm actually playing a game as opposed to like a casino game where I'm just like putting some money down and just like hoping like something will hit. But like it's just like a game and I just keep throwing money at it like an idiot. Like
you did win something though.
Oh yeah, I did win something. It was like a Sumiko Gorashi like penguin plush. I was like happy winning that because I only spent like probably like $10 just to get that one. Some of the machines are like easier than others, like but they're still.
Well, I just realized now that you said it out loud, is that supposed to be some sort of like play on words of like Subarashi?
No, it just means like corner life. It's like a bunch of characters who are miserable and like kind of live in a corner.
That is the opposite of Subarashi.
Yes, it is. It's some weird. It's like a weird Hello Kitty thing, like mascot thing. Anyways, like I was saying, I like to play those games. I spent like $50 on that stupid like precision like push the stick like past the hole thing, like you fit it exactly.
You get the key in, yeah.
Yeah, and I tried like winning the PS4.
You were really close. I don't like understand. Like you were really good at it, and like it wasn't taking. You know what I mean? Like
no, it's because like for the big prizes on the top, it's meant to be harder for obvious reasons, but like you have to be like exact with like the key placement. That's how strict it is. I did actually manage to win one of those games while I was in Japan in like arcade in Kyoto, and I did like get like a prize like Psycho-Pass gun replica.
Nice,
oh, neat.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's
and like
so cool.
I did it like with 500 yen, so I was really happy.
That's
about that.
amazing.
That's really cool.
So that's why I was pretty confident with that machine because like of that win, and like I do like those kinds of games. But they are pretty expensive. They're like $2 a play, and I just kind of like kept doing it. And I was like, "Oh wait, what am I doing?"
Like I was having bad luck with
addictive.
the UFO catchers myself. Like I was having a hard time with them. I was like, it's really close. It's really close. And then like at the very last one I played was like the most bullshit thing.
That was amazing.
Do you remember, Lotus? It drops down, and I have like an exact drop going on, and then it stops. I'm like, what the hell? It got caught on its own wire.
Yeah, it had like that. It had that super coily, spirally, like old timey telephone wire. Well, not that old timey,
Stuck
but like
on its own fucking wire.
Yeah, the kind that's on like your mom's wall, like the really old cord that like. You know, if you watch the 80s movies, you see the person talking on the phone and, like, twisting their finger in the cord. It was, like, one of those, and it looked like it just snagged itself.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Like,
my favorite, I don't know what I like more, that one or the very first UFO catch attempt you made, where you're picking up a little stuffed animal, and it actually drops, but, like, the body's wider than the hole, it fell lengthwise.
No, what happened was that a display piece fell down into the hole. That was not supposed to happen.
Yeah, and it just jammed, so now the game's definitely unwinnable for everybody.
It was just unwinnable. Although like the one machine that like I pretty much should have won was unwinnable because I found out that the prize was like too big.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
And like when I talked to the attendant, he said like someone was actually supposed to like tie it so it fits, but like no one did that. And
so
because
of like, is that how you got the prize then?
I did. Oh no, it was a different prize. It was not the penguin. It was
you just didn't get that one, even though you.
I didn't get that one because it was like hit part of his job, and like he couldn't just give it to me.
Yeah, that sucks.
He was like, "Oh God, I can't do anything. I feel bad, but like I honestly can't do anything." I was like, "Oh no."
That's unfortunate. Well, did you get a refund for those plays?
Huh?
Did you get a refund for those plays?
Actually, I didn't ask. I was just like, oh, whatever. It can't be helped mentality, and I forgot to ask for like refund.
It can't be helped. It's Japanese customer service. It can't be helped. They're known for their customer service, but really they're known for being really happy while you yell at them. It can't be helped. Sorry.
Okay. So anyways, like. What I like about Japanese crane machines, although they're like rigged, they're not as rigged as like American crane machines.
People win them. People win at them. That's the reason why they play them. You know.
Yeah, like Western crane games, like they are designed to take your money and let you win. Like as soon as it hits how much money the machine earns. Because they program like how strong the grip should be, like based on like how many plays were made.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why it's BS. and I feel like with like Japanese crane games, like from what I played in Japan and like from this online net catcher I've been playing, I feel like it's more skill based, like based on how you move the item with the claw, because you don't just grab it from the center. You're actually supposed to like maneuver the item, like using the claw's like opening and like pushing function to like get it through the prize slot.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, that's how you win Japanese style crane machines. It's not like pick up in the middle, because like whenever you see that means you're doing it wrong.
Yeah, I got so pissed off with that first one because like the prize was bigger than the chute. It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Oh well, that was an accident. But I you should have won that one because it landed in the hole, but like it was just like, oh. Also, I just noticed like while I was like walking around there, they tell you how to get the prize if you look up into it shows like what to aim for.
Oh really?
Cool.
Yeah. And actually, I followed that for like the penguin, and like, oh, it does work.
Nice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
But still, they're still rigged, but like they're more winnable and more fair, I guess.
And they have good prizes. These ones had good prizes, you know.
That's the thing. Yeah,
cool.
like a lot of Americans, slots have prizes that you either don't want or you do want, but you'd save hundreds of dollars if you just went to the store and bought them. Like,
yeah,
these prizes you may actually want, and you can't just.
Was pretty cool.
Yeah, you can't just go anywhere and get them. That's kind of a novelty.
They had one filled with like official Kirby merchandise that you could only get in the crane game.
Yeah, that's really pretty cool.
In Japan.
It was kind of like in Kirby's Adventure. Like if you ever play that game, the bonus game is a crane game, and it looked just like that. It was really neat.
Nice. Like, yeah, the prizes here are like ones you want, because every time I look at a crane game, like anywhere else, I'm just like, I don't want these shit prizes. What the hell is this? And also the ticket prizes in there are like fantastic. I was like, oh man, I could actually like want to play some ticket games. I normally don't want to, but like I actually kind of wanted to when I saw the prizes they were offering.
Yeah, unlike Dave & Buster's, Dave & Buster's has a very high percentage of redemption games. And I mean, they do have, you know, the skill-based fun, like classic style arcade games, you know, for the hardcore people, I guess. But it's mostly a redemption kind of place, and they kind of have that to throw us a bone, you know, the skill-based ones. And so, like, as much as I like Dave & Buster's because it's, you know, it's an arcade, I should support it. This one does the same thing, but like does it better in every way. Like just so much fun. I really enjoyed it, and I liked seeing like some of the unusual games that they had. You know, like the light gun game you were playing while we were playing Silent Hill looked really fun. It was called Music Gun Gun 2.
Oh yeah,
Music Gun Gun 2.
Yeah, they had it at MagFest actually, but like it is a like hybrid like music and light gun game. Well, and it has like a pretty good selection of like J-pop game music. They have like Super Mario music. They had was it Bubble Bobble music, like do 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 do.
Yes, that's it.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Puzzle Bobble. Yeah.
Yeah, and they also had Hatsune Miku music, and it's actually really fun, and it's actually simple enough to pick up, like just play and start picking, just to like play. So I would actually love to like just play that with like the Tokyo Attack brings that to MagFest again.
Yeah, they also had that table flipping game that a lot of people talk about as well. I played that a little bit.
That was cool, yeah. I've seen that one at Otakon.
Oh yeah, that's a really fun game.
Yeah.
I played at MagFest last year, I think.
I was kind of just trying to glean what the rules of the game were, but essentially what you have to do is you have to bang on the table to get stuff to fall, and basically set up a situation in which you can have a lot of things interact with each other when you finally flip the table.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
most people just like bang it 3 times immediately and flip it immediately.
You have a whole minute to bang on it. Like,
yeah, but you want the most points on destruction by like banging and getting everyone's attention to like, and then make them stop. And then like when you feel like it's time to flip it, you flip it and you try to get the most like points.
And some of those situations are hilarious. Like, I mean, there's like your classic stuff where you're in like an office cubicle and you just had enough and you just like send the whole place flying and everyone's like, oh. But I think my favorite one is when you're already dead and people are just being lame and disrespectful at your funeral and your ghost just flips everything and everyone's like, what? No, it's fantastic.
Your ghost like flips your own dead body in
the coffin. It's amazing. It's so good.
It reminded me a lot of Incredible Crisis, just like the art style and
the faces
it had. Like it's how funny it was.
Yeah, definitely for attitude. For what kind of game it actually is, it makes me think of some of the Burnout games where you're not racing, but you're just trying to crash into as much stuff and get property damage.
The crash mode. Yeah. It's a lot like crash mode.
Because I think the table flipping game actually does measure property damage.
Oh, it does. Yeah. That's how you get the points. I did see. I'm a big actually, both Lotus and I are both really big fans of the Time Crisis series.
So am I.
Oh, are you? I didn't realize.
Yeah.
I'm not.
They had Time Crisis 4, 5. I think just 4 and 5, but they had a full version of 5, which is great because it was only half out a little while ago. And like they released half the game into arcades. It's kind of weird.
When you beat it, there's a cutscene and it ends like a demo disc, you know, like there's gonna be more kind of thing.
But they also had a game that I really wanted to play but didn't have enough time for, called Too Spicy, which is it is.
Is it a meatball? Is it too spicy?
That's a spicy meatball. But no, it is Sega's basically competitor to the Time Crisis series. Just like Time Crisis 5, it has 2 pedals, so you could do a left and a right cover dive or whatever it does. and I really wanted to play that, but I didn't get a chance. And it's 2-player as well. And then they also had that Gunslinger Stratus game, and I really wanted to play that and didn't have enough time.
Yeah,
for
that looked like it was
Oh,
4-player
I wanted
too.
to play that. It's 4-player, like versus. Like I actually played a little bit in Japan. It is a really cool game. But like it is like kind of hard to understand, because like it's all in Japanese, and it's like, what do I do?
You know what it
Well,
reminded me
I
of?
remember you were showing me a cool gimmick that you could do with the guns.
Oh yeah, like the guns have like magnetized like plates on like so you can actually like combine your guns to like make bigger guns in the game. Like you dual wield like normally, but if you combine it side to side, it becomes like a machine gun. And if you like combine it on the top, and like it becomes like kind of like a bazooka, if I remember correctly. So that's an interesting like fun aspect of that game.
I found that it maybe the spirit of it reminded me of Virtual On.
Yeah, I could see that.
Just like the way you play it. But not, it's a lot better than that. Obviously, it's a lot more complex. But I really wanted to play that, and hopefully next time we go, maybe we can have all 4 of us can have a match.
Yeah,
that
would be great.
I played Outrun 2 SP, which is one of my favorite arcade games. I was surprised they had that there. Outrun 2 is a fantastic, really awesome game. So much fun. I love Outrun to begin with, the original Outrun, but the second one's even better, if you ask me. It has this drifting mechanic in it that it's so much fun to do. Like when you're going around a corner, you can tap on the brake and make yourself do a power slide, and that's how you get a lot of the points in the game, and also like maintain your speed.
So it rips off Mario Kart.
I guess it rips off real physics. I guess
it rips off a Fast and the Furious Tokyo Drift.
Shut up.
But no, the whole game is built around that mechanic, and it's a lot of fun. And it also has slipstream acceleration in it too. So like if you have a car in front of you, it makes you go faster. Like
nice
in real racing.
Nice.
So yeah, that game is a lot of fun. I'm a big fan of it on the original Xbox. And I'm always glad to see it in the arcade because it's so much more fun to play with the full setup.
Yeah.
And I wish I got a chance to play it a little bit more, but I kind of only sampled everything that I came in contact with. They also had the Rhythm Heaven arcade game. I really wanted to play that.
Wait,
a really
they had
fun
that?
game.
Yeah, they had it.
Oh man, I didn't explore enough.
Yeah, we've been saying, we just didn't have enough time.
Though, like there were cases where I thought I explored everything, and it turns out I didn't, because there are a lot of the Japanese arcade setups are kind of back to back, so the 2 players, not that they could see each other, but are effectively facing each other when they're playing competitive fighting games, for example. So like I don't know, I guess my brain just kind of got the idea that that's just how the games were, like they were redundant on the opposite sides, but they weren't. So there were cases where it's like, oh, the game I'm looking for is just on the other side of this one, so that might have been part of my problem.
Yeah, it's mostly for like Melty Blood, Blaze Blue, and Super Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
MrRyu, did you get a chance to play anybody in a fighting game?
No, like this is like a kind of like designed for casual, like players and stuff. So like
Filthy
no one really
casuals.
like filthy casuals. Like no one really like played the fighting games over there, and also it was like Super Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition and not Ultra Street Fighter 4, so it is an outdated version.
Yeah, that's the big problem with fighting games, is they get updated so frequently, right? Having the arcade
Street Fighter took a little while, but
Street Fighter 4 took a while actually to get it updated, and also Street Fighter 5 stupidly does not have an arcade version. Like that's the reason why it's kind of dying in Japan, because there is no arcade version, and people like in Japan prefer the arcade version.
Yeah, by the way, Pyro, in regard to your response, Street Fighter 5 has been releasing its characters in seasons, but Street Fighter 4 did an Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3. They just released all the new character updates at once, so it was an entirely different version of the game. So that's why it took a while.
In fact, it had 2 exclusive characters for a little while. It had
Okay.
Yun and...
Oh, that was arcade edition.
yeah,
Ultra...
that's what I was talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you also got like weird characters like Hugo, who I just love watching.
Oh yeah, they just like took the characters from like Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and they're like, people wanted them in Street Fighter 4, so they're like, okay, fine, we'll just rip the models and put them there.
I mean,
there
why
we go.
not? Hugo's awesome, man. And
Yeah, they were popular characters, although like there's 3 of them were just Final Fight characters and just Elena.
Elena was awesome though, and I was actually very happy to see that just like in Street Fighter 3, she had like more fluid animation than anybody else.
Also, her hitboxes are wonky, just like in Street Fighter 3.
Oh, really?
So she has a good matchup against Fei Long, because Fei Long can't land his full like Rekka combo on her because her hitboxes are weird.
Oh god,
and that's like the reason why it's a bad matchup for him, because of a stupid reason.
I just like watching Hugo do like a 3-hit combo and like most of your health is gone.
Oh yeah, just like a clap combo. And you're like, oh no.
And by the way, that this is just for, my little quirk, but like I'm still used to like, even though I've watched you play with Hugo a lot when I'd be over at your place, I'm still used to hearing Hugo's Street Fighter 3 voice, because it's just like that's what I heard first. But Street Fighter 4's Hugo voice is the same guy who does Okoyasu in JoJo Part 4.
Yeah.
Yay.
Oh, Lotus, did you have anything else you wanted to add on your end?
No, that was it. Like, the end of my thing really kind of transferred into MrRyu's.
Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
you can finish up and talk about your part, and also anything else about the arcade that you wanted to go over.
I actually mostly talked about like what I wanted to talk about round 1, and I got that done. I guess the only things I didn't go through is that they had the Hatsune Miku arcade game there. But at the time, it was not working. It had an error screen, so I'm like, oh, damn it.
The first error ever, 0001.
I'm like, oh, no. So I'm hoping the next time I go there, it will be working. Because
Miku was changing in her dressing room.
That's why. She needs some time to, like, change, take a bath.
Into all of her eccentric costumes that she's in every different video.
Oh yeah, and also like my IC card that I got from Japan, the Sega, was it Aime card? I think?
Yeah.
Like it actually worked when I used it, so I actually like.
I guess it makes sense because you used it on a Japanese machine.
Yeah, so like I did actually manage to save my crossbeat data on the internet, and I'm on the network now, and hopefully I can use that for the Project Diva game that they have there. Because I do like it, but it's like completely different from the console games, and like extreme mode is like way the hell harder than any like extreme mode in like the console versions. Because like they have multiple like complex button presses that like multiple button presses you have to be exact with, and
that touchscreen or that touch slider.
Yeah, and like it comes flying at you at extreme mode, and I'm like, "Oh my god, what's going on?"
Yeah, and even that crossbeat game, it started getting more intense, where you'd have to press 2 points at once with both hands, and there are parts where you'd have to swipe the screen and stuff like that. One thing that I thought was really cool though was with your card that you registered a new profile for. Within the context of your own profile, you could unlock new songs by playing other ones, and you could raise in-game money to buy like sort of like just swag for your profile and stuff like that. Like there's a whole just like metagame going on with this thing. It's pretty awesome.
It's more just like perks really than metagame, but like yeah, you could like unlock songs by doing missions, and you get money to like purchase like I guess like other songs and
it seems that way.
Level up. Yeah, it's actually really cool. It like makes you want to play the game more.
And that's a really great idea, because like normally, like again with like the 80s and 90s arcade machines, you'd play them until you beat them, and now you've beat them. But with the concept of a profile that could give you New Game Plus or like a whole profile, yeah, like you have a reason to keep coming back, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and like I guess $1.50 for like 3 like songs is actually really good for a music game.
Bad.
Yeah, that's decent.
That's really good. Like so I'm actually wanting to play those games. And another thing I've been doing this weekend is actually I'm preparing myself for the season 2 changes of Street Fighter 5. I've been like going online in matches trying to like unteach myself like upcoming nerfs like anti-air jabs, because that's gonna be useless season 2.
Oh jeez.
And I'm training myself to like not rely on that, and like I'm trying to like not like do like wake up dragon punches, because like when you like they remove the full invincibility like for some reason. I guess it's like some design choice. So I cannot do those on wake up, and if like they do like an attack over me while I'm like getting up, like it will beat out Shoryukens. So I have to like unteach myself that.
So it sounds like you have to put the Shoryukens back to sleep.
What's wake up, MrRyu? What's wake up?
Like in a fighting game, when you actually like get knocked down on your back, it's like called a knockdown. And as you're getting up, like as like to like back to like you're like to having control of the character. That's like getting up, and like on the frame where your like hitbox is active, and you do something like right on those frames, that's like called a wake up.
Okay.
So like
So
like if you press like a jab or do dragon punch, like you woke up with like that attack.
I see.
So hence the term wake up.
Okay. Because I thought I knew what it was, but I wanted to make sure.
Okay. Well, it is pretty simple. It's been like since Street Fighter 2, but.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and that's practically all I have to say. So.
Oh, okay. Great. Then I'll move on to my section here. So I actually just got in my arcade version of Garou Mark of Wolves.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
So I officially have the 2 MVS games that I wanted real copies of. I wanted Windjammers and I wanted Garou.
There's that Windjammers mention.
Yep.
I was really wondering how we get it in this conversation, and that's how.
So I will let I'll remind viewers that I also have a flash cart as well. So I could play the full library, but I wanted full copies of the 2 games that I loved the most. So mission accomplished. I got this one from Brazil, actually, and I got a good deal on it. It's a little beat up, but I mean it's meant for arcade play anyway. It was never meant, to be sold commercially. So it gets beat up from being in a public place all the time. So I'm happy to have it. It works. It's fine. I also have had my AES system, the home console version of the Neo Geo, for quite some time now. However, I haven't been able to test it because I don't have any games for it. I still don't have my consoleized arcade Omega either. So basically, I have games for one system, and I have the system for the other, but I can't play them because they don't talk to each other. So I'm waiting for my Omega still. I imagine that because the flash cart was coming out, there was an increase in demand for the Omega system, which is probably delaying things. Because the makers of the Omega have to find decommissioned systems. They have to find them at a good price so they can make them, and they need the one console slot or the one cartridge slot version in order to make the consoleized version. So I imagine it's taking them a little bit longer than usual. So I'm waiting patiently on that. But what is good is I had a friend. I keep getting this stuff for free. I don't know how I keep on slipping into it, but I got a free home AES version of Samurai Spirits, which is the Japanese
sweet
Samurai Showdown.
Nice.
So a very good game, one of the flagship titles for the
even though it's
system.
Even though it's really slow and the hits do way too much damage, I freaking love that game.
Oh yeah, it's a great game.
The second one is considered the best by most people, and the special version of 4, I think, is considered to be a lot of those two that's supposed to be the best. But the first one is still great. And my friend had gotten it for free from, actually her brother had gotten it for free from an online auction. They had just kind of like slipped it in there because I guess maybe they didn't have a use for it. So it's mint. Like even the sticky tape that kept the shock box together is still on it. It says SNK. It wasn't even broken. It was carefully detached and stuck back together. So it was pretty neat. It looks brand new. It even smells new. There's
cool.
no little scratches from being around the house or anything. It was pretty neat. So I'm gonna be able to test my home system very soon. I just haven't had a chance yet.
Nice.
I also got something that was pretty neat too. So what was cool about the home system and the arcade system was that they did talk to each other in some respects. They actually had a slot for a memory card, just kind of like the Konami cards that we got, a primitive version of it. You could trade progress between your home console version and the arcade version.
That's awesome.
That's really cool.
Yeah. But it ran off of a lithium battery, just like most things did back then. Just like a watch battery, just like Zelda did. So actually, somebody on the Neo Geo forums had made a flash memory version, like a home version of it. And I was lucky enough to be able to get one of those because they're made in small batches, and who knows if he's going to continue to make them. I think he said he only had 20 left.
Jeez.
So I got on that, and it's way bigger than the original version of it and less volatile. If the watch battery died in the original version, you'd lose all your saves, and you would need to replace the battery. Well, in this one, you don't even need to replace the battery. So, really cool. I also have been poking around trying to figure out what joystick I really want to buy. And I've been getting a lot of advice from MrRyu. Yeah. In fact, if you'd like to talk about it a little bit, I'm sure the audience would enjoy your insight on joysticks.
Oh, okay. Well,
weren't ready for this, were you?
Yeah, not really, but I do have like 6 arcade sticks, so I guess I know what I'm talking about. Well, recently, Kanba has been releasing some officially licensed Sony products. I mean, they were in the gray market for a while, with like their PS3, Xbox 360 like compatible arcade sticks, which are kind of not allowed officially, but they started like releasing these nice sticks, like the Kama Dragon, like their like luxury stick, which is like really nice looking, has like LED lighting, it's like openable, it's like looks like it was part of an arcade cabinet, and has like some little metal like cord thing in the back to like wrap your cord around.
It also has a nice weight to it, which is important.
Yeah, and then just recently they just like announced their a new joystick called like the Combo Obsidian. It looks so nice. It's like black with like aluminum siding and like LED like lighting on the side, and it's like all black. It just looks sleek and like functional. Like I would actually and it's actually like a lot cheaper than the Combo Dragon. And I guess it's designed for like the tournament player in mind because of the price point and the size. It's more portable than like the big sticks like the Hori VLX. I do love playing on my Hori VLX, but like that thing is gigantic and not very, very like portable. Like I really hate lugging that thing around as much as I love playing with it. So it is really nice, but it is not very good for like bringing around at tournaments and whatnot. So there's a lot of sticks out there.
I've been really wanting one for a while now because I have a few Hori ones from back in the day. I also have a couple Pelican American style ones from PS2 era. I tended to like the American ones just because that's kind of what I grew up with. but I've been more warming up to the Japanese style ones. Like the bat top kind of joystick is something that I used to like playing with, but I'm getting more used to the ball top.
Well, actually, they do have an attachment, like a bat top attachment. Someone actually makes those if you do prefer, like,
neat.
An American style joystick. And instead of like having a square gate, you can actually like replace like the restrictor gate from like like the four corners to like be octagonal. So like it like feels like you're rotating a circle rather than a square with a stick.
Yeah, I tend to prefer that because of maybe. I guess maybe I'm a noob in that I kind of like hitting the side of the restrictor gate in while I'm doing like a quarter circle.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Like a lot of players like prefer the octagonal gate, but like some people are just fine with square. Just like I.
Yeah, I was reading an article about it, and here's what they basically said. A square gate is the since these are all 8-way joysticks, the square gate gives the most equal amount of real estate for where the trigger is going to happen for each direction.
Yeah.
Whereas with octagonal, it limits the corner directions. So in that regard, you don't have as much of an area in which to hit those directions.
Yeah, that's why I prefer square gate over octagonal. I play it on both. Like I like my corners and I like to block low.
Yeah, so I'm a little conflicted about it, but I still think I'm going to do an octagonal gate. But I mean, I can always swap it out if I don't like it.
Yeah, it's very easy to swap out. So.
Yeah, and I've been I think what I'm going to do is for my my Pelican ones that I have, they're really nice. They have like kind of wooden bodies, which is really neat. I'm gonna replace it with Sanwa parts.
That requires modding actually, because I don't think like the parts fit very well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. For that stick, I'd actually recommend using Suzo like Hap parts. The parts that like most American like arcades used back in the day.
Okay. Gotcha.
That's what I modded my multi-arcade thing before, like it fried my PS2's like port.
Oh no.
I see. Yeah, you know what? I had a Pelican Universal joystick that actually fried my ports too.
Yeah.
I think it was just a design flaw in that particular stick. So I just have the regular PS2 ones, which are much more reliable, and I've been using them with joystick converters, just so I can use it on the original Xbox and GameCube. But I think I'll take your advice and I'll put Hap buttons in it, because I think they're knockoff Hap buttons that came with it.
Yeah, they're knockoff Hap buttons. Like I have the Hap convex buttons, and they feel better when I switched it out. I did mod mine, but like mine is like I removed the PCB and just like replaced it with like the Dreamcast Agitech stick PCB. So now it's a Dreamcast stick because like the Pelican's like PCB was garbage.
Yeah, that's actually what I was going to say is the Pelican ones, I have two of them. I think I'm going to put Cthulhu boards in them to play all of my classic systems with those.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And one thing though, like, is like when I brought them around, like it is like MDF wood, so like it is a bit soft. So mine is like heavily beat up.
Yeah. It's definitely like that kind of like particle board.
Yeah.
It's definitely like a Kia furniture kind of wood, rather than real wood, for sure. But I might do some rehab on them, or I might even get industrious and make my own, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah.
Out of real wood that I could buy.
Yeah, there's some like really good custom case things. Also, there's like someone who makes like empty acrylic cases. You could look into. I could link you that later.
Awesome. And so I do have a couple Hori sticks from the early 360 era that I like, but they're not very easily moddable because they're so thin.
Oh yeah. Also, you need to like desolder the board. That's not the like hard part. The hard part is actually like sanding the metal panels so like the Sanwa parts would fit.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm even gonna bother with that. I also have a Hori one for the original Wii. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep those around as like extras, and I'll just buy a new Kamba and put a Brook board in it for multiple consoles. I think that I'm gonna take your advice on that and just go with that.
Yeah.
So because otherwise it's just gonna take too much work to fix it the way I want it. So I mainly want it for shmups. So I'm a big shmups fan, you guys know, and Steam is getting some of the really good ones. Actually, now that I mention it, Battle Garega finally got its PS4 port, which is one of the best shmups of all time. It previously only had a port on the Saturn, and it's really expensive. It's like a $350 game. It got a HD remaster with extra modes on PS4. It's Japanese PSN only, but it still exists, and you can.
Yeah, it's not hard to make a Japanese PSN account. Just make sure that you.
It's really not.
Yeah, just make sure that you purchase Japanese PSN points, because your PSN points from whatever country you're from is not going to work unless you actually already live in Japan, and it will not take your non-Japanese credit card either, or PayPal account. So you actually need to buy the points and spend them that way.
Yeah, they're actually easy to get on like Japan codes, like Play Asia. Just like Google it and you'll.
Yeah, it's easy enough.
.co.jp also sells them.
Oh, good point.
Well. They're probably the best place because they have the least amount of markup.
Oh, do they send the codes digitally?
Yes.
Oh, I should have done that.
Yeah, that's the best part is, you don't have to wait for them to mail you the card from Japan and take 2 weeks to get there. Like, give it a few minutes and you get it in your email.
Yeah, Amazon.co.jp now ships Japanese games to America.
Yeah, that took long enough because they didn't used to be able to do that. Like, I mean, you could always browse the site for whatever you want, but I remember I ordered a couple things, and it's like, oh, wait a minute, some of these items you can't do, and they were games. Yeah. I was like, what? No.
only games are restricted. You could buy Blu-rays for the longest time, but just games, and now they relaxed on that.
Yeah, that's great.
Nice. I'm gonna make a visit there soon.
Yeah, they had the least amount of markup on pretty much everything. So.
Well, that's because it's like base JPY price. They don't have to mark up anything.
Yeah, exactly. And so I do want to get some of that stuff, and also part of that series is a very good cave game called Dangan Feverin. They're coming out with a PS4 port of that as well, with the same people that worked on the same emulator. A really good emulator. Now I'm excited for these two legendary shmups to be able to get to a wider audience. I don't really care if it drives down the price of my Battle Garega. I want more people to be able to play the game at a reasonable price, and I want the best shmups that were ever made to be available to anybody who wants to play them. So I'm really excited to play that once I get off my butt and make a Japanese account finally.
Yeah, well, once again, I mean, just look up how to make an American account and then click where those buttons are and the Japanese account, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, I
learned some
never
Japanese by trying to play Japanese games in Japanese.
I haven't gotten that far, but I learned how to play Mahjong because I had to beat that damn game in Yakuza 2. It was the worst experience. Like, the game was great, just, oh my god, it took me so long to actually win something.
Well, I did want to finish up here by saying I did play Super Mario Run as well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
How is it?
That's a big release. I bought the full version because I knew it's a Nintendo game. It's a quality product. I don't mind paying $10 for a good video game. There's all these people bitching about the price because they're so spoiled with people that are dumping goods at
yeah, mobile's not typically that expensive, but like it's a Mario game though. Like don't
it's $10. Come on, what else
$10 for a Mario game.
$10 good game.
Yeah, don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Like on Steam, there are so many great $10 games that people are happy to have, and happy to pay $10 for. And and games that like were really difficult to make, and they release one on the iTunes store and everybody freaks out. It's so stupid.
Like they don't know how much like effort is put to like actually making the damn games. Like
yeah,
seriously.
And it's a flawless game. Like it like for what it does, it like it works well, and it's fun. It's just like it's advertised. You could play it with one hand, which is really neat. I wish some of the DOA games would be like that.
Whatever, man. You can play the CDI games with one hand. I don't see you raising those.
Oh, when I get an Oculus Rift, I'll be playing games with one hand.
Great.
TMI.
I joke.
I'm gonna get Zelda Wand of Gamelon and play with one hand, and then fail to beat the game because I can't register any movements.
But Super Mario Run is a lot of fun. Just like Miitomo and Pokemon Go, you can connect it to your My Nintendo account, which is pretty neat, and you can get extra perks for doing so. So why not do it?
Even though it's a Nintendo game and that should have been obvious, I got to admit I didn't expect that just because of the platform it's on. It just threw me off. It's like that's not a Nintendo system.
So Nintendo is finally getting smart in a way in which you kind of have a universal profile for Nintendo games now.
Yeah.
Which that My Nintendo profile is now serving as. So all the cell phone games, your 3DS games and your Wii U games, all are tracked and like tabulated there, and you can get all kinds of perks for doing so. It makes it a lot more fun.
Yeah.
Like even just connecting them, you get perks. Like the coolest thing is in Super Mario Run they give you the ability to play as Toad just by doing that.
That's kind of
really
nice.
So
Nice.
why not do it? I mean, come on. Like it. I had a lot of fun trying to find the secret coins. You're supposed to find 5 coins in each level, kind of like any other new Super Mario Brothers game. But what's neat is after you get done those 5, there is a harder set to find. They redistribute where the hidden coins are and make them a different color, and then you can do it again. So you actually have to beat a level 3 times with all the different placements of the special coins, which is pretty fun. There's trial and error to the game, but with the way that you play it, it's not so bad. It's a lot of fun. There's wall jumping in it, and you have to find creative ways on how to get Mario up to a certain level, and it's timing based. It's really quite fun. I really enjoy it for that type of game. It's not a replacement for a 3DS, full Mario game. It is not, new Super Mario's Wii U.
But I'd imagine it's not supposed to be, though. Like
No,
while you can bring Mario along with you for the 3DS, this is something that seems to be, like, I would imagine, like, even more of a sort of laid-back, like, I'll give Mario Run a shot for a few minutes kind of experience.
You could play it, like, one level at a time, which is what you need to do when you're on the go. I urge people to play it. I mean, even the free version is fun enough. You get, like, I think 3 of the worlds or 2 of the worlds for free. So why not? I've been playing it on my iPod. I don't have an iPhone, but it's been working well. It's been really good. So I enjoy it. And I guess I'll weigh in here. So I have maintained my weight again. I'm at 226. I'm proud of myself because I had a family party yesterday. And usually I go wild at those because my dad is a great cook, and when we host it, his food is there. But I only have 1 plate of food. So
awesome.
Nice.
Things have been good with this, and my state of mind and how I want to move forward here. Has been good. So I've been working out twice a week. I'm actually going to up it to 3 times very soon. Probably this week. I'm going to do 3 times and stick with it. So once all of these parties get done and these get-togethers get done in early January, I'll be able to really hunker down and lose some weight. But I've been happy that I haven't budged. Which is great.
That's good.
Normally, people, it's not uncommon for people to gain 10 to 15 pounds during the holidays, and I haven't gained a single pound. So I'm very happy with how I've been keeping up with myself. So having said that, I think we can move to questions here.
Yes, indeed. We have time for maybe one or two. So the first one is from Jason Howarth. This is way back, especially when Old Man Stompy was talking about wrestling. He says, since you mentioned WWE in your podcast, I was wondering who each of your favorite wrestlers are, and if you guys had if you guys had a finisher, what would it be, and what would you name it?
I don't watch enough wrestling to.
Yeah, I can't really say much about this.
I know this is like making up a finisher and like what it is and what it's named, but I don't think I know enough to. This is like a bad group of us, I think, to do that. I mean, out of us, I think only Vice, you've said that you've watched wrestling.
So yeah, I'm a casual fan of wrestling, and I watched it most when I was with a specific friend group that's kind of dissolved at this point. I'm still friends with them individually, but it's not like it was. You know, they used to hang out every week and watch it. It's not the same anymore. But I really loved CM Punk and then later Daniel Bryan as wrestlers. I thought they were both really good. They weren't the typical big muscly dude. They were kind of like underground kind of characters, which is the kind of character and movie and anything that I really like. Just scrappy and kind of the underdog. And they both ended up becoming champions. In fact, Daniel Bryan retired from wrestling and is now one of the executives on air. You know, I don't know whether he is in the actual company, but he's one of the people running the organization in the storyline. You know what I mean? So they kept him around, which is pretty neat. But he had to stop wrestling because he had too many concussions. So I like both of them, and I always like the Ultimate Warrior because he's a crazy maniac.
Yeah, it was fun to just watch his rambly speeches on YouTube.
I mean, he's clearly mentally ill. But it's a shame that, you know, like his like people that knew him in real life were like, dude, you don't even want to go near that guy. But yeah, I mean, other than those two, you know, Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, I don't really follow it enough right now to really say, but I do like watching clips here and there. But I can say something about a finisher. So if I didn't have something that I would do myself, but I did used to do Create a Wrestler a lot in the games I did own. So I particularly like the Ultimate Muscle game for the GameCube. It's a really good game. It's made by the same people that made the really good N64 games. I think they're called Aki. And so like a lot of big fans of those N64 games actually love this Ultimate Muscle game. And it's a license from an old wrestling anime called Muscle or Kinnikuman.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I made this guy that was kind of like a disco alien. He had a big red afro and had what looked like almost like space bell bottoms. It's pretty neat. And his finisher was called the Clash of Style. And I kind of meant it to be Crash of Style, but I did a little English joke there. So if I was to ever become a real wrestler, I would totally take that from when I was a kid, because I like making references even to my own life. So that's what I would do. MrRyu, do you know much about wrestling? I've actually never asked you that.
Actually, no, I do not follow wrestling at all.
Okay. I also saw like a really awesome, just as an aside here, I saw an awesome wrestling clip. Like Japanese wrestling is incredible. You have to watch it sometime. But it also can be really violent, or violent looking at least. There was this one GIF that I was watching of they had a spike bed, like one that you would see like a street performer lying down on, and they were slamming each other into it.
Jesus.
And they were bleeding all over the place. And one of them body slammed the other while he was on like the spike bed.
Oh my
God
god.
damn.
It was crazy. I know they got hurt a lot. I know it's not as painful as it looks, but these guys get hurt a lot when they do stuff like this, and they're just willing to do it. But their life isn't usually in danger because they have certain controls put in place. Plus, usually they trust each other enough to do it the correct way. But still, watching it was like, wow. So I definitely want to watch more Japanese wrestling, but it's kind of hard to get a hold of. It's just one of those things you have to torrent, I think, unfortunately.
Well, as for me, like, I did not grow up watching wrestling, so, like, the only references I can make to wrestlers are kind of, like, outside of the context where that everyone else knows them in. With the exception of Macho Man, I just like his... Like, I just love the way he delivers his lines. Oh, yeah. Like, it's just so entertaining, and it's fun to see him play wrestlers in other things. Like, he was the villain of a Dexter's Laboratory episode called The Wrestler. He was Bonesaw in the first Spider-Man movie, Randy Savage.
Oh, wait, really?
He was Bonesaw. Yeah. You're going nowhere. Like, that was him. It's like, when you think about it, it's absolutely his voice. It's like, yes.
Macho Man is another favorite of mine from that era.
He's also Super Shredder.
I absolutely love
for like 5. Yeah. He was also Super Shredder for like 30 seconds, and then he stupidly killed himself by dropping a pier on his own head. So I like Macho Man in that context, and that's about as close as I'll get to actual wrestling. CM Punk I have a bit of a soft spot for, just because sometimes wrestlers do just like... TV and internet spots where they're just kind of doing their own thing outside the ring, and CM Punk...
He's just a cool dude.
What? What?
He's a cool dude in general.
Yeah, well, he had done like a whole grammar thing where he was just getting like mostly hate mail because it was funny and reading it and just correcting their grammar, and he's just like, how are you going to put a comma there? You need a semicolon. I was just like, yes. It just cracks me up. It's so good. There's also Bill Goldberg, just because he played Santa in Santa's Sleigh, and he just wrecks everybody. It's just so funny to see Santa Claus go, I hate kids. It's just like the way he delivers that just cracks me up. That was fun to watch. And I want to say, oh yeah, The Rock also has a whole ton of charisma, and I've seen him in, movies, and apparently...
It's hard not to like The Rock.
Yeah, and apparently he was, Sarge in the freaking Doom movie. What? He was in The Rundown, going up against Christopher freaking Walken, and... most recently, MrRyu showed me just a video of Moana, because he voices one of the characters in Moana, and he could sing too. Well, who knew? So, seems like a fun guy to be around.
He's also, like, really great in interviews, too. Like,
is he? Just, nice.
Yeah, he is. Actually, there was, like, one interview where he was asked to do, like, impersonation of, like, Disney characters in, like, his way. And when he did Gaston, it was, like, the funniest shit.
I gotta hear that. Oh, and you know what? One more to throw out there. Mankind, just because Mick Foley seems like a super cool guy in real life.
Mick Foley's cool.
And also... I don't know. You remember BattleBots? Because there was another show like that, Robot Wars, and he hosted Robot Wars for a while. And he really yeah, and he really seemed to be into it too. He would, like, it was super fun. Like that show was fun to watch. I mean, I loved watching the robots fight, but honestly, I loved anytime Mick Foley was on camera because he was just owning that
now
that
that
role
I think
of
about
announcer.
It, I'm a big Roddy Piper fan too. Like outside of wrestling, just like I don't know. Like,
you know what I love?
Come on.
Yeah, they live. You know what I also love seeing him in though. This is a bit more obscure, but there was that one of those "What would you do for a Klondike" commercial, Klondike bar commercials. Did you ever see the one with Roddy Piper?
No, I never. Seen
it. Was amazing. It's not on YouTube. You have to Google it because it's on some other video site. But it was just like some guy. I don't know if he won a contest for real or if it was just within the context of the commercial. But it's like, what would you do for a Klondike bar? And he's like, I would fight Roddy Piper for one. And so he just like comes in the house and just starts tearing the whole place apart and scaring the living daylights out of the guy. And all of a sudden, there's this one part where he's about to throw like what turns out to be an urn, and it's like, wait, no, not that. That's like the ashes of like my dead dog. And Roddy Piper's just like, oh, geez, I'm sorry. And they have this like conversation about how cute their dogs are and how amazing they were, and I had one just like that too. And after they kind of like get all that out, Roddy Piper's like, so you ready to get back into it? Yes, I am. God! He starts like tearing the place up again. It's amazing. And now that I think about it, one more commercial like that's like the best thing ever. I forgot if it was for Sprite or 7-Up. It might have been Sprite. But Sting, he just like shows up to this house. Some little kid answers the door, and he's like, "Hey, buddy, like I'm Sting from like the Foundation or whatever. You ready to wrestle?" And the kid's like, "Oh yeah, totally." And then he's like,
"It's the Stinger." That's what he says.
Yeah, that's right. It wasn't Sting; it was the Stinger. But he's just like, "Oh, wait a minute, before we get started," and he takes a drink of Sprite. "Okay, now let's go." And then Sting just destroys the kid. He's just like throwing him all over the room, and the parents are filming it. Like, wow, it looks so real. It was super funny. It's like the best commercial.
I like the guys that have just like anything else. I like the guys that have like a good attitude about it.
Yeah,
that are good sports about it.
That was great.
I'm not a big Hulk Hogan fan just because he's a jerk in real life and like.
But he shook hands with Rocky.
Yeah, I liked Andre the Giant in post. You know, like all the stories that I've heard from him, all the interviews I've seen of him. I don't think I was around when he was alive.
No, the only thing I think I really knew him from at first was The Princess Bride.
Yeah. I mean, he was in The Princess Bride.
Also, by the way, Andore and therefore Hugo is actually modeled after him. Hugo from Final Fight and now Street Fighter.
For sure. I there's a lot to like about him. He's definitely the gentle giant.
Yeah.
For sure. So I like hearing the stories about him and his personality and how he would wrestle and how the relationships in the ring with other wrestlers. It was always really interesting to hear.
And that's just like my thoughts about like several actors too, like Vin Diesel.
Yeah, he seems.
I love Vin Diesel.
I like actors and wrestlers. You could consider them actors, and people that are like, I guess, in positions of fame that are pretty down to earth in real life.
Apparently, Vin Diesel's a D&D nerd.
Yeah, he DMs. He plays a barbarian that he's been playing for like 10 years.
Nice.
And there's like a whole bunch of stuff like with him, like The Rock, and I don't know who else is in my top list, but like are people who I'd really want to meet in real life, just they seem like pretty cool guys. Like they don't. I mean, whether or not fame has gotten to their head in any way, they just seem pretty down to earth and pretty chill. That you could just hang out with them as a no one like we are, and it would you'd have a good time.
You know what? By the way, I forgot one more thing. Again, none of these are in context of actual wrestling, but Triple H for his role in Blade Trinity. That was not a good movie, but he was clearly having fun with his role. And yes, he pulled off a wrestling move against Ryan Reynolds, just like Bill Goldberg pulled off his signature move in Santa's Slay. And I didn't realize that when I was watching it because I didn't know what his signature move was. Same goes with when the movie ends. After the credits, you see him as Santa holding up like the nice and naughty list, and he's just looking at it and he goes, "Who's next?" And that was apparently his catchphrase, and I was like, I love stupid little things like that. Like little meta jokes. And not to mention Stone Cold Steve Austin. I don't know if it was the real Stone Cold. I think it might have been. Would occasionally like guest host Celebrity Deathmatch. Remember Celebrity Deathmatch?
Oh yeah, no, it was a real his
nice. And now that I think about it, Stone Cold was also the generally forgettable villain's awesome right-hand man in the first Expendables movie.
Expendables, yep.
Not the best movie. It was fun enough, but
he also broke Stallone's back.
Jesus.
During filming.
Christ's sake.
Oh,
okay.
wait, really?
Yeah.
And then Randy Couture punched...
He had to be hospitalized because of it.
And then Stone Cold got lit on fire, and Randy Couture punched him in the face. That was the finisher. It was brutal.
That's my finisher, then.
Yeah, punching a man who's already on fire.
Flaming Sunday. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't have a finisher. I don't know.
Flaming Sunday?
Yeah. And it means I set the other guy on fire and just punch him in the face.
My signature would be Hulk Hogan's "Take a seat," and I'd pick up a bench and I'd wait for the secretary to yell at me.
The Jim Jock Jam.
Funny. Real funny.
Why don't you take a seat?
I said take a seat. It's funny.
I was frozen today.
It's funny every time I see the same trailer over and over when getting ready to watch The Secret of the Ooze.
Yeah, same here. I never actually.
I've never seen that trailer on TV.
One trailer to that one on that one VHS copy.
I never knew about the Frozen Today thing. I never knew anything about the movie other than the trailer. And that he played Afterburner, and they were apparently just telling him to do bullshit that you can't do in real life in that game. It's like use the photon beams, and it's like that's not in the game. They're just saying video game stuff.
you're piloting a realistic looking jet. Like,
oh, are you really?
Game.
That's even funnier.
Well,
than
Afterburner, yeah.
Like, just take an arcade game, play it, okay. So yeah, I guess those are my answers. So my love of wrestlers has nothing to do with actual wrestling. So even though I listed off a whole bunch, they're all like out of their main contexts.
Yeah. Well, I think that pretty much wraps up that question.
Yeah. Do we have time for another one?
The next one seems pretty. I mean, I know we can probably talk about it for a long time, but
we can handle the next one.
We could probably do the next one.
All right, this one's gonna be funny based on the way I read it out loud because this guy.
Well, I think it's gonna be funny, especially because of how often we've mentioned that we have done this thing.
Well, it's just kind of funny, but like yeah. So Andy Opheim asks, "This is mostly for Vice, but anyone, how answer this? Have you seen any Takashi Miike films? Ichi the Killer is mine." I actually personally have not seen Ichi the Killer, even though that's everyone's go-to Miike movie along with like Audition. I haven't seen either of those, but I've seen what Vice has shown me, and Vice has shown me some wonderful things. So in total, I've seen, I believe, 4 Miike movies. One of them was Yakuza, based on the video game, which was a mediocre movie, but it had a lot of good fan service. And then, oh boy, the Dead or Alive trilogy has nothing to do with the video games. The second and third movies...
That ending of the third movie.
Oh my
the
God.
third movie's ending was way out there, but...
Endings in general are just like, wow.
Yeah, like, this is something you don't want to spoil, and this is something...
Never saw him coming.
Yeah, this is something where it sounds like a really lame thing to say. You know, like, I don't want to be that guy that says, like, oh, this anime episode is good if you watched, like, the 12,000 episodes before to build up to that moment. But, like, no, but seriously, the ending of the first movie only really... It's good if you watch it out of context, but it really works if you've seen the rest of the movie.
And I was going to say, it's interesting because you watch the first movie and it's like, okay, like, it kind of makes sense, but it ends strangely. And then you watch the second one and you're like, this has nothing to do with it. But somehow in the third movie they bring it all together.
Yes, it did.
It's like, oh, what the fuck did I
That was really interesting.
It was continuity, and you didn't know it.
Yeah, but the first movie, I'm only really going to talk about the first movie. I'll just say that it's in brief. It's basically a detective noir story, and they make Tokyo look like the sleaziest goddamn place in the world. Like if you just watch the opening credits, like the opening montage. Oh my God, there's so much going on. Like, it's like, and not to mention, the editing is done in such a way that it's rapid cutting to kind of like overload. It's supposed to be sensory overload because that's what's happening in the movie. Like, there's a guy who's just like shoveling noodles down his mouth endlessly. There's like strippers just doing their thing. There's a guy who's having sex with another guy in a bathroom, and then he just like slits his throat, and it's like, what? There's someone doing a line of cocaine, but it's like all the way down this long ass table and just runs down the table sniffing the whole time. It's like, Jesus Christ, like there's so much sleaze, it's insane.
Like, homosexuality in Japanese media isn't very prevalent. To see it in a movie that's so like graphic.
And what's weird though is it looks like
very shocking to me.
What also shocked me though is it looked like the guy who was receiving was into it, and then he gets his throat cut anyway, and it's like, oh, okay, like I didn't expect that. So there's just so much going on, and then you basically have the main detective that you're focusing on following the head of a bunch of bad guys, and the head is the guy we're mainly focusing on, and you see all sorts of interesting stuff. Like, the detective doesn't have a great family life, and he's too dedicated to his job to keep up with that kind of thing, and the gang members got like this kind of fuck up brother, but he really cares about him, but they're doing all this illegal stuff, and the stories do intertwine really well. But then the ending happens, and it's the greatest ending in any movie ever.
Yeah.
Just that's all I'm gonna say about that.
Oh wait, I just remembered the ending.
Yeah,
I knew it was awesome, and I just remembered it. And yes, wow, what the hell?
This is something. Like, I don't usually like. I'll get emotionally invested in a lot of stuff, but I don't usually get verbally emotionally invested. It's like for comedy. I find most comedy funny, but when do I actually laugh out loud? Like, even when watching YouTube video, like, reviews or comedy, like, I don't often laugh out loud. When it happens, I tend to remember it.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So, for the same thing goes with, I'm not one of those guys who cheers for the actors in movies who can't hear you. You know, it always kind of bugs me when people applaud at the end of a movie, like that makes a difference to anyone, you know? But, like, at the end of Dead or Alive, the first one, when Vice showed it to us at his house, I actually like loudly like cheered, like yeah, like for real. It was like it just blindsided me so much.
It's also like a big release at the end of the movie too. Like there's just so much struggle going on, and it's like the big climax.
Yeah, it is the big.
Oh
like,
my god, what am I watching?
Yeah, it is.
And
it
I
is
think
the
it's
detective
too, like,
going for broke. Yeah.
And like the whole movie, you're curious how it's gonna end, and you're wondering like how they're gonna wrap everything up, and they completely go against anything you would ever even think could happen.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I know how most noir movies end. Is it gonna be like that? No, it's not. Okay, well, all right. Well, they're going to subvert my expectations, so maybe this will happen instead. What? Just no. The answer is no.
Let me just put it this way: to anybody who's seen Inglourious Bastards, it's that kind of level.
That's actually a good point. Yeah, Inglourious
Surprise.
Bastards was one of those things where like. Well, it's like what you were saying about Star Wars Rogue One. Let me guess, the rebels get the plans, right? So with
Inglourious Bastards, yeah.
Yeah, with Inglourious Bastards, well, I know how World War II actually ends. Like, no, it doesn't matter. it was amazing. That ending got me so bad. That was fantastic.
The best shocking ending in history, one of the best. It's just like, oh, how they fail. Well, they don't. Oh.
That's the thing. Yeah, this doesn't have to do with like the Japan bombings or like the surrender of Germany or anything. It's not that. It's like it's a particular plan that you know can't work because that's not how history happened. Like it's like the movie Valkyrie, but like I'm writing this movie my way. Like it was kind of like that. History sucks. I'll give you a better version. Like oh okay. So yeah, Dead or Alive had an ending kind of like that where it's just like what? Like, it's amazing. And yeah, Dead or Alive 2 is a very different story and it's way more consistent with
emotional.
Its attitude. And 3, the whole movie was generally crazier. It got into like I won't even get into the basics of that because you're gonna ask me how it got from Dead or Alive 1, but like that whole premise was just way out there.
And that ending, oh my god.
So yeah, that was a ton of fun. So are the movies good? I would say yes, they're good, possibly great, but like they have individual moments that are like insanely good. Like in fact, Dead or Alive 2 has a weird moment that was kind of like it reminded me of Pulp Fiction. Something happens in Pulp Fiction that never happens anywhere else in the movie at all. It's just an artsy decision where Vincent Vega was telling Marcellus Wallace's wife, like, oh, I'm not much of a dancer, or like I don't really want to go to this dance with you. And she's like, oh, come on, don't be a... And she's going to say square, but then she traces a square in front of her, but like the movie like draws it for you. Like it was really weird. Like Inglourious Bastards did that too. It's like you're gonna need to take out these 3 guys and it like circles them, like you know on Microsoft Paint. And you're like what? So like Dead or Alive 2 had a moment like that where it's this really tense moment where these 3 assassins and they never talk. They just silently approach some dude like in the middle of an alley, and he doesn't know why they're there, and they're all staring at him. They're not coming from the same direction. They triangle surrounded him, and he's just like, what do you guys want from me? And they're just not answering, and the guy's getting more and more nervous and more like audibly panicked until all of a sudden all 3 of them check their phones at the same time, and you can see the text message says like wrong target, and they're all like, oh wow, and then they all turn around and walk away, but then they all of a sudden turn back and all fire at him simultaneously, and it does this really weird X-ray shot where it shows the paths of the bullets, and they all enter the guy's head from different directions in such a way that they meet in the middle, and it does this weird math like it's a 60-degree angle like all the way around, or it's a it's a 60-degree angle from each side. It's like perfect shot. It's like what? It's like it has this weird like video game feel to it. It's just like okay. It's like weird stuff like that. That's just Takashi Miike just does. I think I mentioned this in a previous podcast, but in the Yakuza movie, it follows the plot of the game, but all of a sudden the end of the movie, it just turns into a video game where Kiryu drinks one of those like I forgot what they're called, but no, it's not a health drink. It's one of, what was it?
Stamina X.
It might have been the Stamina X, yeah, where like it fills your energy meter, and he
supposed to be like the Orinamen C that I picked up.
Yeah, and he like actually starts glowing with blue flame like in the game to indicate that he's ready to do the heat moves, and it's like it's so dumb, but like it had to happen. You want it to be in that movie, and like the rest of the movie, again, it follows the plot of the game, even down to the character's wackiness, but it doesn't do like this is a video game. Like, until that, it's like, yes.
I like the bank robber duo. I think they're pretty funny.
They were amusing, but honestly, their entire plot was padding, and it didn't contribute to the main story at all. Like, yeah,
it's true.
Like the Yakuza game is too big for a movie, so they cut a lot, and I understand you had to do that. Sure. But couldn't they have cut less and not added a superfluous Bonnie and Clyde story? Like, they were...
The Bonnie and Clyde story did not belong there.
Yeah.
But you're asking this of Takashi Miike, who...
I know. I'm the fool for even bringing it up. Although I did kind of like that one, I think it was a bank or a convenience store that was being held up for, like, forever, and everyone's getting bored and impatient. That was kind of funny, too.
So, those are actually the same 4 Miike movies that I have watched. However, I own a ton of Miike movies that I've just stocked up on. I have Ichi the Killer and a few of his other, like, well-regarded films. He's an insanely prolific director, and he puts out, like, sometimes 2 or 3 movies in a year, which is insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Most directors, even the most prolific ones, come out with maybe 1 a year. The most prolific ones in America, like Woody Allen, is one of the most prolific. He comes up with one almost every year. But like 2, 3 in a year consistently.
Like, how do you have a life?
Yeah, he must just be like, all right, let's go on to the next one. Come on. Like he's basically kind of like Canon Films, I guess. You know,
yeah.
he just like
pumping them out.
Has a production company and then keeps going with it. But not all of them are good. I mean, nobody would ever say it, but he has a unique style that is a lot of fun, and he also he definitely transcends genres. Like he does little kid movies a lot of times too.
No, actually, speaking of transcends, I will throw out one thing that's a very appropriate connection. I was gonna mention that it's kind of like Suda51 in that not everyone likes his stuff, but there's a certain something about him.
He's interesting.
Yeah, that's why you keep coming back. But speaking of which, Takashi Miike actually cameoed in No More Heroes 2.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he actually voices in very heavily accented English, but I forgot who it was. I think Shinobu shows up to Travis with the Rose Nasty, and those are like the dual katanas that's just like the most broken weapon in the game. And it turns out, like, I don't think the character was Takashi Miike, but the guy who was voiced by him was the guy who, like, passed the weapon on. And it's just like, I didn't realize that until the ending credits. I was like, Takashi Miike, what? So he's actually crossed over with Suda51, and he's transcended not only genre, but medium.
Yeah. I mean, he's a very famous director in Japan, just because of his prolific nature. And he's done a ton of, like, video game kind of stuff. He's done the Ace Attorney movie.
That's right, yeah.
Which, apparently that was bad.
Yeah, terrible.
Unfortunate.
He probably tried to make it goofy and made it, like, way too goofy. That's probably what I'm guessing.
Yeah, you know, he almost reminds me of the Coen brothers in that the plots are serious, but there's just so much stupidity in there, like, on purpose.
Yeah. But other than those 4 movies, I haven't seen them, but I plan on watching a whole bunch. Apparently he made, like... so there was this Masters of Horror series on like Showtime or HBO or something that showcased. It was basically like an anthology show where there was like a new horror movie made for that series every single week, and it was usually made by a really famous horror director, like Wes Craven would make one, you know, that kind of thing. And he made one, and they told him he could make whatever he wanted, and they would show it no matter what he did. And he made one that Showtime didn't even want to show. You have to buy it on DVD. Like, it wasn't shown during the normal series because it was so like perverse.
Yeah, wow. that's the thing with Miike. I don't know if we've really made this clear. Like, we've made clear his quirks, but when he wants to get violent and disgusting, boy does he ever.
Well, this one had a lot of themes revolving around abortion, so it just like it just wasn't
that I didn't know.
Probably one of the least attractive topics to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So. And most horror movies don't even broach that. So he went there, and they didn't like it.
Huh.
They let him make the movie, at least, and they still sell it, but they weren't comfortable airing it, even on a premium.
Yeah,
channel
imagine the backlash.
Yeah, well, they just he touched a nerve in just the right way, where they were like, I don't even want to take the risk with this.
I like horror, but
Yeah, so I don't even know whether I want to watch that, because I'm like, there's only so much like I can take it with. I love horror, and I think horror is great, but I only want to make myself so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like, you want to go on the roller coaster, right? You know, so you go on a roller coaster because you kind of want the thrill of dropping, and
yeah, but you don't want to actually fear for your life.
Fall. But I don't want to fear for my life. Well, I don't want to go on a rickety, like shitty ass roller coaster that might actually kill me.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing. Like, I don't want to watch a horror movie that makes me so disgusted. I like I'm gonna have nightmares.
Yeah.
Or like so disgusted I'm gonna like.
Just feel
regret
bad.
watching
Yeah.
even if it was good, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of got disgusted. I'm not sure if this is like on topic, but like Tokyo Gore Police was just
God,
like,
I have not. I've stayed away from that one.
I actually like that one.
That
one reminds me of a trauma film. Like it's like a Japanese version of a trauma.
Yeah, I have a threshold for gore, and I have not seen Tokyo Gore Police, but there were particular moments of Dead Alive or Brain Dead, whichever title is in your region, that
I was gonna say Dead Alive is right on.
Yeah,
par
there's a part
Dead
where like
Alive.
there's a part where someone's slowly becoming a zombie, and she starts like shaving like her face, and like just it cuts way too deep, and that was like I had to look away from that. And there's also a part where just like I don't remember exactly what happened. I think like the part she shaved off or whatever, she like dropped into like a bowl of soup or something, and someone started eating it without knowing what it was in. Like that was
no, it's just like she spat out something, and then
That's
it went
what it
to
was.
the bowl of soup, and I was like, that just grossed me out. I
Yeah,
mean,
that was the only time I have ever like I've looked away like, oh no, too gross. Like I've done that a lot. Like I there's a certain kind of gore I can't deal with very well, and I'm always like, ooh, tell me when it's over. But that moment though was the only time I've ever gagged watching a movie. And like I don't know if it'll affect everybody the same way. That might just be a quirk I have, but like I've never gagged like watching film before. I was just like, hold it down.
Now
like,
I remember. Now it was like I think it was like a pus ball or something.
That's what it was. It was
Yes.
disgusting. I was just like,
Like,
I'm done.
that
I
was,
gagged during a movie. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was
Oh,
the
yeah,
only
that was-
time I've ever gagged during a movie. It was just like even now I'm kind of like I'm feeling it a little bit. I'm not actually gagging, but like I'm kind of like not the time.
MrRyu, what were you saying?
Yeah, MrRyu.
Oh yeah. Actually, I was about to say that. Like, I was gonna say the same thing as you. That was like actually one of the few moments like watching a movie. I was like, oh god, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that was awful.
Like I didn't mind the rest of the movie. That was like the one part that got me.
Yeah, and you know what the
Everything
funny
else was
thing
just,
is,
like-
by the way, for those who may not know, the guy who made Dead Alive or Brain Dead is Peter Jackson of Lord of the Rings and King Kong fame.
They let him make the Lord of the Rings after this.
Yup, and he did a good job.
Oh yeah. So I have gagged during a movie. So Jackass #2. I'm a huge Jackass fan. Like back during high school, I was a huge Jackass fan, and I used to watch all their spin-offs and all the movies. Well, Jackass #2 actually, like the second movie, got me to stop watching anything Jackass after that.
Wow.
Because I gagged during it. Like it. Chris Pontius, like first of all, the guys were doing like disgusting jobs, but like, you know, just being really gross. Like, you know, they went to like a horse farm, and
I know what
Oh,
you're
yeah.
talking about. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yeah.
jerked off a
A
horse,
lot of
and
those
then Chris
movies
Pontius.
have, like, I understand people wanting to watch them to see like bad things happening, but I'd watch them to like, why? Like, why would you ever do
Yeah.
that to yourself?
Yep.
Drugs. Yeah, like Chris Pontius jerked off a horse and then drank it. It was
That's the worst.
like on screen, and
Ugh.
like I was not prepared for that. I
was
so
like, oh my
I got so
God.
grossed out.
Yeah, that's well, that's the thing too. You're like, well, if they did that, what other stuff could they do like it? So like now it's not safe to watch future Jackass episodes.
Well, I mean, geez, like I had watched. Most of Jackass was like them getting hurt and doing stupid stuff, but it was funny, but they got so like they were trying to one up each other all the time now with the movies, and like the first movie was good, but then the second movie they had to do something even more extreme, to get people's attention, and it wasn't funny to me at that point because I felt like they were trying too hard, and in the original series it was just like the title says, it's just them being jackasses. Like they were just having fun being assholes to each other, and like I really liked it, and they were really funny people. Like they were really charismatic, funny people, and they were really creative in the ways that they would, mess around with each other. My favorite skit to this day, like favorite segment, is still from like the first 2 episodes, I think. It was called BMX Jousting. And they were on BMX bikes in like full armor, like jousting, and it was like they were just so heavy that it was really funny, and they were talking in like mock medieval accents.
God, like awful really like funny. The old speech.
Yeah, no, it was just like it was really funny, and how they were falling over. Like that was my favorite sketch out of the whole series. Like every time I watch it, I die laughing. Like, it doesn't matter how many times I've seen it. It's really funny. Just, like, the timing of how they hit each other, too, is really funny in that one. But, like, the movie just got so gross. Like, the second one, I never saw the third movie. I never saw, Bad Grandpa, which actually won some awards.
Who was in that? Like, Steve-O?
That was Johnny
Knoxville.
Yeah, that's considered, like, the last Jackass movie.
Okay.
The last Jackass thing that was made. Like I heard that was actually really good, but I never had the heart to watch it after watching the second one, and that's saying a lot considering I was a big fan. I used to watch Viva La Bam and all that stuff. I used to watch all the shows that were related. Like it's just a shame. But
yeah, that should cover that.
MrRyu, have you ever watched any Miike movies? Because there's quite a few. I mean, like Zebra Man is one that
that was Miike?
Talk about. Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, I've only really watched the ones that you really showed me. So like everything else that like Dead or Alive, Yakuza, and then that's practically it.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we have a lot that we still need to watch. I have like a bunch on my bookshelf, and I don't like to watch them alone because like we get so into watching movies when we watch movies we like. When cool stuff happens, it's like like the room erupts,
Oh yeah,
yeah, and especially movies like those where like you don't mind necessarily talking through parts of it, and like you want people to see it with you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Especially with shocking bits in it, like reacting to the way everybody else is reacting in the room is always fun.
Yep.
I have all kinds of weird movies. Like I have that Funky Forest movie that we watched.
That was something
that
else.
was weird.
That was really weird.
It took a while for us to get into it, but when we did, it worked.
Oh, it got better as like time went on. After the first half hour, you're like, "What am I watching?"
Yeah.
And then we wanted to know what happens, and it ends like, and you're like, "That's it? Is there a sequel?" Like, no.
Yeah, pretty much.
Did you see Funky Forest, MrRyu? I forget.
I did not.
No, we watched that at.
We need to show you that
at
my old place.
Yeah, that's a good one. I have all kinds of weird Japanese movies. Like I have also this one that was like a baseball movie. I watched this with you, Pyro.
Yeah.
But it wasn't much of a baseball movie.
Nope.
It was baseball themed, but like zombies came in and was the other team, and it was like they were playing baseball against a team of zombies.
Nice.
Wow.
But yeah, it was goofy as shit, and they didn't do much playing of the game.
It was
that
great.
does sound pretty funny.
It was really good. I love like goofy types of Asian films like that in general. Like I like Riki-Oh. I mean,
Riki-Oh's amazing.
A good one is was it Future Cops? That's Street Fighter by not Street Fighter.
Yes.
Yep.
And then Goku's at the end. What?
Have you guys ever seen Volcano High? That one's really good too. I think that one's Chinese though. That one, or no, it's Korean. I forgot. I need to show you Volcano High. That one's really good. It was localized on MTV with like rappers dubbing over. The like Snoop Dogg was in there.
That sounds vaguely familiar, but I've not
Tracy
seen it.
Morgan was in there. Like just like a lot of like prominent rappers at the time and stuff like that, and comedians. But they on the DVD they actually included the uncut version.
Ah, that's cool.
Which is way better. They actually cut out scenes for that version, the localized version, unfortunately. So you just watch the original. So I mean I have tons of like crazy Asian films that I like watching and showing to people. But Miike films are probably the cream of the crop, as they say.
They're way out there.
Yeah, I definitely want to show some more. Well, does anybody else have anything to add this episode?
No, I think that's it.
Nope.
Okay. Well, I think we've done a lot of damage here, and I look forward to next week. Thanks a lot, everybody. Don't forget to a bunch of you have friended me on various platforms. I'm VyseTheBold on everything you could think of: Nintendo, Steam, PSN, Xbox Live, everything. Even my email is VyseTheBold@gmail.com. So it's VyseTheBold. And don't forget to give us some likes and 5-star ratings in our various places: iTunes, SoundCloud, and YouTube. So I really appreciate everybody. Please keep the questions coming. We had quite a few questions added this week, so I was happy that you guys contributed, but keep on contributing.
Yeah, and don't be afraid to ask questions. I know that we get a lot of questions from like the same few people. I'd like to see some different questions, and I know that a lot of the games we get asked deal with games and games basically. I'd like to see some questions that are more than just about games.
Yeah, fortunately these two questions were very different.
Yes. Yeah, but I know that we can do it a lot, and I know that this is, I guess, in a way, mainly a podcast. It spurs off of Lotus Prince. Like, a lot of the fans from your LPs listen to it, and that's probably a big gaming group. But I'd like to answer questions that deal with other form of media or just, like, weird things about life, too.
Yeah, I was actually going to say that one thing that I think would be kind of cool is I like ethical dilemma questions.
Oh, wow. That can be a whole episode by itself, honestly, depending on especially if you have different viewpoints.
I think our group of friends would really enjoy talking about those as well, because I think we're all very ethical people, but we have our own perspective on things. So I think it would be pretty neat to have, like, would you rather do this or this, given the situation, that kind of thing. I love discussing that kind of stuff, and also philosophical stuff, like, preferences even, like, I would love talking about that kind of thing. So, but I really appreciate all of our fans, and I can't wait to do our podcast next week.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Bye, everybody.
Until next
Bye,
time.
everyone.